As I've said before, and I'm sure I'll say again, in these pandemic times, there is nothing that we do that is 100% safe. Nothing that we do when we interact with another human being is zero risk. Because of that, we have to be very cautious and think about the places where we interact with other people. This doesn't mean we should live in fear. This doesn't mean we should always avoid all other people at all costs. But it does mean that when we encounter other people and when we go about our lives encountering other people, even in essential trips, even in places where we need to be and where we have to go, all of those things carry risk. And so we must be intentional and thoughtful about how we do that. These days, as more and more of us are getting together with other people, maybe we're going to small groups of outings, maybe we're attending church in person, or maybe we're going to get food at a indoor restaurant. All of those things are possible in some cases. Just today, suburban Cook County had a little bit of step back in some of the mitigations, so things will be a little different in suburban Cook County. But all of us do different kinds of things, and we engage in the world in different ways. And each of those things that we do mean that we'll probably be exposed somewhere along the way to somebody that has a positive COVID test. I want us to work really hard on letting go of the stigma around having a positive COVID test. A positive COVID test, first of all, you may not even have symptoms, so it may not mean you're sick in any way, shape, or form. It only means that you have enough of the virus to be perceived by a test. And if you have enough of the virus to be perceived by a test, you have enough of the virus to share with somebody else. Which is why there are rules about when you're exposed to COVID and why we may make phone calls if you're exposed to COVID at a thing at church, because we want people to be aware that there are risks and there are possibilities, even if those are very, very low. We as a society are going to have to get better at how do we manage when something like that happens? How do we deal with it when somebody in our family has been exposed to someone that has COVID? And we just need to all be prepared for that to happen. Even if a vaccine is discovered very quickly, or even if the medications that we receive improve so drastically, so quickly, we are still going to have to face some times where we might get exposed to someone who has tested positive for COVID. We have to take moments in that time to calm our minds. An encounter with a COVID positive person does not mean we are going to get sick. It doesn't mean all the people around us are going to get sick. But it does mean it could happen. And so it means we have to make very wise choices at that point until we can confirm that we are not sick, or that we do not have COVID. Again, you can have COVID and not be actually ill with it. That's what we call asymptomatic. You can be asymptomatic and still test positive. And in that case, you would still be contagious even if you do not have any symptoms yourself. So let's work on that. Work on being able to name those things, to destigmatize it, and to just practice being able to call a friend and say, well, I'm so sorry. I have just tested positive for COVID, and we sat down together for 2 hours in the park the other day. Even those kind of things can expose us to COVID. Again, likelihood, chances are very, very low. But we need to practice being aware and being able to hear that from somebody without getting all angry or all anxious, because it's going to happen more and more these days. And as the positivity levels increase, it means there are more and more people that you're interacting with on a daily basis. If you're interacting with people on a daily basis in person, it means there's more and more people that may have that virus. And because they may have that virus, you want to be really conscious about who are you in touch with, who are you interacting with. So again, no fear, no anger, no anxiousness, just a reminder that there are things we need to be able to manage as a society if we are going to live our lives out in the world. And there are certainly things we can do when we are encountering other people, when we are interacting with other people, that can minimize our chance of getting it and can minimize our chance of giving it to somebody else if we have it and don't realize it. Wear your mask. Stay 6 feet away where you can. Don't be in contact with people that aren't in your home quarantine bubble for any length of time if you're going to sit down with them. Again, the reason that the indoor dining stops, and there's mitigation measures about that, is that that's one of the places where they find spreading to be very much more possible than other interactions. So I hope you just keep living your life as you need to, do the things you need to be careful, and make choices about who you're going to be around, what circumstances you'll be around them, and then continue to live your life, lean on God, trust God, and know that God is with each and every one of us where we are. Peace be with all of you.